Hey everyone, I'm going looking back on my screen recording, and you could see there's a lot of bonuses, many. I actually counted, but I forgot. It's around 8:30 in the morning, and I'm looking at my past screen record. So here you could see at 5:54 in the morning, and then at 9:52 in the evening. So that's when I actually first started in Montclair. So I'm just gonna cash out, and I cashed out, and it was actually pretty nice. So, yep, successful, right? And this is a screenshot I took at 4:03 in the morning. I was actually gonna go out, but then I looked and saw that Newark had no surge. The surrounding areas did, but New York didn't. The surrounding areas don't really give you that much. It's not as good as New York. So, you're gonna see it later, and I'm gonna have. Well, I'm gonna put the long commentary. Well, sort of. This was when I was gonna take a break, but I actually didn't take a break at all, and well, no, yeah, unless you count turning it off, driving back to Newark, because it was better at that point to know when to stop and just go back, because you're at the edge and you're heading more west where the pickups are longer. I had one at one point which was a 10-minute drive, and after I picked him up, he was only around a 5-minute ride, so not worth it. Alright, I'll leave the rest of the commentary to when I recorded back then. Hi, actually, I decided to record because I took a screenshot when I was about to start, so like I had just turned it on, and this is what was happening at the time at 9:51 p.m. So you could see I'm in Montclair, and I think I did a few rides, and no, yeah, I say more about it in the commentary when I had turned it off and I was driving back to Newark. So don't want to spoil it too much, but you guys could see how the surge was acting at that time and whether you would have made the same choice or maybe not. Hey, alright, this is my first break. Still doing the commentary. Right now it's 11:33, and uh, let's see, it says total of this much, maybe that much. So I think I'm maybe around $90 so far, and we started maybe around 9:30. Alright, I have to merge onto the 7080s right now, and I'm gonna try to get this pretty short. There's been a lot of surge. I ended up starting in Montclair because I had to return an item, and it wasn't bad. But then I put the directions into Newark, and that's when it actually ended up saying, well, it's going to be the one we have 20 minutes, and I said, oh, well, screw it, I'll just turn it on in Montclair, see if there's at least a surge or something. Because sometimes it just doesn't load or show you. But to my pleasant surprise, there actually was. The pickups were actually a bit far, but it was nothing like it was yesterday or technically today. But overall, it's been pretty good. I'm thinking about taking my first break right now. So, but right now I did shut it off just because this is the first time it actually gave me one pickup that was as far as around 20 minutes, and I had to decline that one because it was way out west. The reason I shut it off and didn't accept that one was it's just
once you're out there, it just keeps giving you more and more west, where the pickup is just all extremely long, and I don't, and I did it once, so that's how I know this isn't beneficial, where the pickups would be 10, 15 minutes, and the rides maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes. So it really isn't worth it going all the way over there. I thought, I'm gonna be making some money, because I thought I got confused with the fact that Lyft was actually the one paying you to actually pick people up. Now they ended up paying you less per mile, but yeah, at least you were getting compensated per mile, but it did end up being less.
Hey, as I'm editing this, I just remembered that lost my train of thought and that I had actually gotten Uber and Lyft mixed up that night. So when I was out in the west by around, uh, what was it, Dover, Randolph, I thought I was gonna be getting less per mile, but still get paid something, and I had rather wanted that as opposed to spend the gas money driving all the way back to Newark. But that was Lyft that would have paid you to pick them up, less per mile, but still you get paid to pick them up. But I was actually using Uber, so you weren't getting any of that. But it was around 60, and that's the money that Uber showed as the total, so not including gas, taxes, or other expenses.
Some prep that I did for today. I did have a cup of coffee, and that was around 2 hours before I headed out, because it's about an hour drive to Newark from where I live. Uh, it's about an hour, give or take. All right, I gotta keep it right on 21. All right, and since I was on like the southern part, it was pretty much almost leading me to Westfield. And the thing about the south is that the pickups are similar to the west part, where it just ends up being pretty long pickups. Like we drive, it's not nearly as fast as the west, but like like over a Randolph, or but it's close enough to where it's just not good enough. So, and by this point, most of it usually isn't that good, and you might end up places where you're about maybe an hour and a half from like Newark, or you know you might end up by New Brunswick, but then you get all the rides are by the end boys. So that's where it actually isn't beneficial to keep you around by around 1:30. So I might drive back home again. I'm heading to Newark right now, but if I turn it on, or rather if I see the surge is fine, then I'll keep it going. But I think it was $90, which isn't bad for a night. There were definitely surges has been about five, but shifts. So and I did leave one person off at the airport, and then I got the airport was actually surging, but that was only the airport only. So the actual surge that when I picked someone else up, that was maybe around a mile away from there. Wasn't actually that high. So from that, you did that, and also there have been some parts where Uber just screws up. It's because you've had customers where, oh well, the second it shifts, they're constantly blaming you. Well, you want to make it longer. No, it doesn't work that way. If you go off course, you don't get paid for the um, miles that you drove off course. So that part, obviously you could feel, them always getting irritated every time because they think you're trying to scam them. But no, that's not how Uber works, right? You don't get paid if you go off course. But then it kept showing me, oh, go all the way, going to the 78 and so forth. So that was just absolutely like, no, it did end up taking longer. And, remember, the only way to make any money at all on Uber is just through volume. So the quicker, you pick someone up and the quicker you drop them off, you just need the amount of rides to actually even technically make any sort of money. Newark having a lot of potholes, also makes it unpleasant. All right. And I'm close enough here that, alright, I'm gonna turn this off. And I think that I'm gonna check on the Uber app again and see if it really is worth driving right now anyway. So if not, well then I guess I'll head home because that's the best choice right now. take maybe an hour or two break and head back out when it's actually worth something. Again, done this for a while, and these ones don't nearly pay as much as maybe after starting picking up after 1 usually, and usually starts dying out by around 3:30 to 4. Sometimes after 4, that's when you really have to call it because that's when the surge does end for maybe a party night. So, because one specific example stands out was on New Year's Eve, where you actually just you were getting surging, and then it was around 4, and there was no surge merging. So I was like, okay, what, screw it, I'll do it one, and that one actually did not end up being worth it. This lady was drunk. I mean, just not, just kind of a bad experience. But well, so I was at this point I was like I was 2 or 3 hours away, but it really didn't matter. Just if you don't see a surge in like the New Year's, then obviously it's really don't bother. Even with the surge at that point, it's barely even worth it. So, but the New Year's was worth it. Just maybe right after it died, well then that's it, you're done. People have been waiting to go home. Just so they don't pay the surge. And then they end up living far, and so you can end up get even further away from where you live. So that one wasn't that great. She actually went even more south, and that was another 20 minutes. And I'm thinking at one point she said she forgot something, so she's like, "Oh, can you go back?" Uber doesn't give you the actual address, and it also doesn't tell you what you went back. And I mean, we had gone through a few loops and merges that I wasn't really sure. And then I mean, then she said, "No, no, it's here." So all right, I'm here, so I'm gonna turn this off.
Alright, hi. So this is how much I spent on gas and about how many miles I drove. The miles are around 56.05, but they're actually more given the fact that I approximated one, the first one, which is about half, which is driving all the way to Montclair, and is well, I also didn't count some on the way back, so I know the miles, and maybe it's around around 100, but you can't classify the miles you drive to work or from work on your taxes. Alright, so I thought I'd address something else. Here, I had an issue when I was heading down on Haynes, and it was pointing for me to go in the opposite direction of the one way. I don't know if they changed it, but either way, Uber wasn't right on this. So as you can see, the Uber GPS wanted me to go that way when we were heading towards the roundabout. And this is actually the other one. This is the second time I went through here. Because the first one I just didn't have enough time to really just screenshot or anything. Here there was a bit of traffic, so I was able to take a screenshot. Right, so this is right after I had my last rider, and I had just dropped him off around there, and I took a screenshot to see how it was doing and maybe how it would change as I was going to be heading towards the turnpike. And if you will show up in a bit, right, so it's 2:27 right now, and then by the time I'm actually getting closer to turnpike as it is now, around 2:33, uh, it did spike up around Clifton, well, up above Clifton by Garfield, under Patterson, around by $11, but it just wasn't worth it. As you can see, Newark isn't even as high as any of those areas, so I decided to head towards Turnpike and call it a night, and maybe wait another hour or two, but you already know how that turned out. I wanted to show this because it's funny. He's passing a red light. Just wait for it. It's great. Why? You don't gain anything. Just and you stopped at another red light. And then here's again. I cut it. This is a few red lights afterwards. And oh, and here, this one also was changes lane aggressively. But look at this one. 2 lanes, just rushing it. And there was a truck, right, that he crossed. Does realize that they can't stop as fast because of all the weight. But that's what there are a few more, but I'm just gonna call it with that one. I'll show. Maybe it's getting too long, but I'll do it. I'll do it anyway. I'll show my phone and maybe go through a bit of how each worked. Okay. Finally doing this. But hopefully, see. So I'm recording my screen here. Here we go. And I can respond to it. Alright, so we had, as I'm going to count the bonuses, sort of, the one trip quest, right, that's the last one, $3, very nice. Another one at 150, that's another 3, so let's just count the one trip quest, and I think they're $2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so there's 11, 3, so 11, $3, right? So that's 3, so that's 33 right there. And how many $2? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 because we stopped. That's the cutoff from the day before. So there's 4. So that's $8, 33, and then we had 4 $2 ones. So we got 33 plus 8. So we get a total of $41 on just those, which is not bad. So I think that'd be the last bit, and hopefully, pretty interesting log, sort of. I was gonna go into each one, but it's 10:07 right now. Come on. Oh, but before we go, maybe I'll cut this. I'll show the search. Alright, so here's the search, guys. This is around 10:07, and I think it got worse. Alright, that's about it. Hopefully he picked something up.